Hey guys, welcome back to another video with me for commercial series part 3, where we'll be going through decoding commercial issues that you could probably face and learn from commercial issues that I have faced previously. Why should you be listening to me? Because I myself have been working in commercial industry within the construction and development industry for close to a decade now, with close to a decade of experience, and I have worked on projects up to $450 million. So I guess what I'm about to tell you comes from a bit of experience and a bit of learning that I have come across with my journey. So I hope this information will be something that is extremely important to you guys, so keep watching. In today's video, we're going to be discussing cash flow. Now, cash flow is a very foundational issue that you need to understand to ultimately push your business forward so that you can excel and get maximum profitability out of your business, whether that be your business or your investments. This principle, like I said, a foundational principle and can be used within your investments and your business sectors. Now, I'm going to divide this video into 2 parts and then make another part of this video where we'll be taking real life examples of something that I have perfectly worked with and explain it and break down every single segment of it mathematically so it all makes sense to you. Now, just to begin with, in this video, we'll understand what exactly cash flow is. Cash flow is simply the amount of money that is coming in from your investment or business versus the amount of money that's going out. The balance of it is called cash flow. Now, why you need to understand this principle is simply because you need to understand how much cash flow you have from your business or your investments to further put that money either into operations, pay your employees, get maintenance costs out of the way, and all those other items that you may need the money for. Now, to understand exactly how much cash flow you're getting month to month, quarterly, biannually, or maybe annually, there are multiple ways of doing it. We are going to go with the top 4 ways that a business or an investor can use these different charts to understand the cash flow, and then going into the second part of it, the analyzing the cash flow, which is either through S-curve graph or through exponential graph. Okay, to begin with, a line chart graph, cash flow graph, or line chart graph, it simply just tells you and gives you the cash flow over a year, the seasonality of cash flow. So it tells you, for example, a lemonade stand would use this kind of cash flow, or a cafe business would use it to understand exactly where they have the highest cash flow projection into their business in any given year. A business may do better in some seasons as compared to other, or may do better in some months as compared to other, just depending on the different atmospheric or other issues that may impact the business from the outside of it. So line chart really tells you the seasonality of the cash flow progression in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, or in what seasons and what area of that particular year your business or your investment is to attract more money as compared to money that is also going out. The second one is bar chart. Now, bar chart is something that narrows the vision down a little bit more and focuses on cash flow projection within a single month or quarterly area. Now, this just gives you a broader, more narrow understanding of how that business or investment, particular investment, is going to be able to bring that kind of money into your business or your investment, so then you can then again disperse those different money into different fields as required. The third one is pie chart. Pie chart graph is something that is used by companies to get an understanding of different sort of assets that can bring them different values. So, for example, in pie chart, you can understand that what particular business or what particular investment, if you have multiple of those, is bringing you the most amount of cash flow as compared to the other ones. Now, why is this used? Is simply to understand which business, like I said, or investment is going to bring in more money. So you focus your energy more towards that business and push that business forward, like I said, to attract attract more money within your company, or it could be an investment, just depending on there are multiple people that may have multiple investments and may need to understand exactly which one is bringing more money, so they can further either use or buy or better enhance that particular investment, or buy other investment of the same kind. So it's also important, cash flow is also important to understand, because then you can exactly understand the nature of that particular investment or business, and then go attract more businesses like that or investments in-house to bring more cash flow within the company. The fourth item is area chart. Now, area chart is something that you can use to understand, to really plot different types of investment or business tools, and understand which one again is going to bring the more amount of money. The only difference between pie chart and area chart is considered to be a more broader aspect, and can capture cash flow projection for somewhere between a month to 24 months, or even 36 months, just depending on how big that project is. And its focus is primarily for businesses, not really for investments. Now, in the second part, like I said, we're going to understand the two types of graphs. Now, when you have the data collected through these different charts, you need to be able to analyze that data to understand at what point and how that cash flow is coming into the business. You need to track down every single dollar that is coming through that cash flow, and how you're going to manipulate that, and how you're going to maximize your profitability in the broader sense of your businesses or your investment. You need to be able to put that into a separate chart or graph, which we call either S-curve or exponential. Now, obviously there are multiple more complex versions of these, but to understand, simply put, there are only two main graphs that we need to focus on, is the S graph or the exponential. For businesses, S graph is the best, or for a project that is going from a certain segment of time, you need to understand exactly how it works, is that it's compared to your time limit. So the time limit could be a month, 2 months, 12 months, 24, and then again is compared with the amount of money that is going to be coming within those months. So for example, a project, for a pretty clear example, or something that everyone could relate to, would be say for example, a highway project that the government could be doing, or simple house that you may be building, that you understand in the first month of that project, the value of X is going to be different to the value of Y. But you need to understand these two elements and every segment that is going to take place in the middle of this S-curve to understand, again, the cash flow projection, to clearly understand how much cash flow is coming in. The first month could be different to the X to the Y. That is simply because in the first month, when you're starting the project, there may be only a certain amount of funding you may need to fulfill the operational or logistical cost of that house or whatever you may be building. But as you proceed, as you progress to build more, to build or to further expand into that project, you may need more money, but you need to understand exactly, because no one has the amount of money that goes into a project these days. Everything is on top of the cost, so you need to understand that you will be getting this cash S-curve and also be giving to your lender. It could be a private lender, it could be a bank, but they need to understand how much money is going to be going from the X amount of time to Y amount of time. Simply because they need to understand as well how much money is the project going to attract, or how much money as a person you need to understand as well you need to take care of your logistical and day-to-day activities. And as you go, as the project intensifies, the value of the cash flow graph will segmentally go up as well. And then we'll come to a point where you have reached peak. We'll call this point Z. You need to understand foundationally where that point Z is going to be, and then where that point Y, when it comes to the end of the project, is going to be. Because the value of Y is going to be different as when you started from value X. That is called the S-curve graph, because it goes in a segment of when you start the project and it peaks and comes into the Y location at the Y point. That's the S form, the S graph that it's forming. That is what tells you the money of how much money that is going into the project and is also coming out to your different subcontractors or to the people you are paying who are carrying out those activities. or your employees. The other one is something that is used primarily by investors. For taking myself as an example, if I have multiple investment properties, or someone watching has multiple investment properties, you need to understand, again, you can use S-graph in conjunction with the exponential graph, but exponential graph really just shows the amount of money that is going to come within that particular time limit, as compared to when you started. The only difference between exponential and S-graph is that exponentially, the value of exponential graph, the value of cash flow coming in, goes up quite exponentially. It's a steep curve, and it goes to a point, starting from X, goes to a Y point, but it stays at point Y. It doesn't drop down, because, for example, if you take a house and you put it on rental, the value of that exponential growth of that rental within that year is going to stay the same, because that's just how the tenant agreements are, that for 12 months you're in a locked-in contract. It's an exponential growth of cash flow that will be coming out of that investment property, as compared to an S-graph, where you can take, like I said, conjunction with your exponential graph, you can take the S-graph and to get a broader sense of cash flow for 3 years, for example, and understand that at point X, the first year of my investment, I had about $20,000 coming in. The following second year, I had about 40 grand coming in, and at point Z I had about 60 grand coming in. But at some point you enter point Y, where the property has gone back into the market again because your lease has ended, and then you're going to start from point Y. Now that could be the same point at 60k as point Z, but it will still be considered as point Y, because the amount of money that has gone from the start and has peaked and now has come down, you're drawing down that amount of cash flow. If you put the numbers mathematically, which I'll explain in a different video as a separate example, you will understand that those numbers will only match and only be beneficial when you put it into S-graph and to analyze your cash flow projection in a better sense. Now, like I've explained to you in my previous videos, this concept is extremely foundational for every business owner and for every investor out there to understand what exactly cash flow is, what exactly it entails, and how to manage your cash flow from point X to point Y, and to understand the different formats that you can use to determine the exact amount of cash flow that will be coming from point X to point Y in those different seasons. Because, for example, you just need to understand that that cash is going to be coming in at a certain point, and I'm going to be either investing it into a certain direction, or I'm going to be using it for my personal use. You just have a better control over your finance, and you have better control over your cash flow. You can do as you may deem necessary. So I hope this information was valid and was actually helpful to you guys out there. I will be making a second part of it and explaining in more thorough and mathematical ways as to how cash flow graph works and how you should set up your cash flow to understand the exact proportion, exact cash flow projection from day 1 to day 100, or whatever day it could be. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.